So this one is x cubed minus 2x squared minus 9x plus 18 divided by x squared minus 5x plus 6. So we're up in the skill level a little bit. So let me write that with the first term inside the box. And the second set of parentheses, it will go outside the box. So the key term on this one is x squared, the first term outside the box. So x squared times what is x to the third power, and that's x. X times x squared is x to the third. X times negative 5x is negative 5x squared. And x times 6 is positive 6x. Then we're going to change all the signs so we can subtract the algebra way. So that'll be a minus 6x. Combine them together. X cubed minus x cubed cancels. 2x squared plus 5x squared is 3x squared. Negative 9x minus 6x is negative 15x. And bring down the 18. And do it again. So x squared goes into 3x squared positive 3 times because 3 times x squared is 3x squared. Also take 3 times negative 5x, so that's negative 15x. And 3 times 6 is 18. Subtract the algebra way by changing the signs and combining them. So 3x squared minus 3x squared cancels. Negative 15x plus 15x cancels. Positive 18 minus 18 cancels, which means, again, we have no remainder. No remainder is usually a good sign that you're correct when you're first starting to do these. But that doesn't always mean you're correct, but it's usually a good sign that it is. So part B is very similar to part A. It doesn't look similar because I don't see a division sign in there. Actually, I see no sign, which usually means multiplication. However, I look right here and I see negative 1 that's outside of the second set of parentheses. And what does negative 1 mean? Well, that means since it's a negative exponent, it's going to go to the bottom of a fraction, which means if it's at the bottom of a fraction, you're dividing by that. So this is actually just another division problem. So it's no different than what we've done so far. It just looks different because of the negative 1. That's just an indication that we're dividing again. So I'll still write x to the fourth plus x cubed in the first, and so on in the first box. And then write the x squared plus x minus 2 in the second box. And there it is. So what's our key term? Right there, it's x squared. So x squared times what is x to the fourth? Well, that would be x squared. X squared times x squared is x to the fourth. X squared times x is x to the third. X squared times negative 2 is negative 2x squared. We will change all our signs and subtract the algebra way. So x to the fourth minus x to the fourth, well, that cancels. X to the third minus x to the third also cancels. Means that we have just negative 6x squared plus 2x squared, which is negative 4x squared. Now, since we did cancel 2 terms, we're going to bring down 2 terms. So everything else, we canceled 1 term, which was the first term. So we only brought down 1 term. Well, this time we canceled the first 2 terms, so we're going to have to bring down 2 terms. So we're going to bring down minus 4x and bring down a plus 14. And the reason we got to do that is because notice that we have 3 terms when we multiplied our x squared times everything outside the box. We had 3 terms. If I don't bring down that 14, I'm going to have part of a term hanging off with nothing to subtract it to. So I need to bring down the last term so that I have 3 terms to subtract when I get to that subtraction step. So x squared goes into negative 4x squared negative 4 times. That's negative 4x squared when I multiply. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. And negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. Change the signs, so we're subtracting the algebra way. So that'll make that a negative 8. So negative 4x squared plus 4x squared, they cancel. Negative 4x plus 4x cancels. And 14 minus 8 is 6. And look at that. We have a remainder this time. We don't put R6 like you would in 4th grade math. We're going to write the remainder as part of a fraction. So to write the remainder, you're going to add the remainder and then place it over the divisor, the x squared plus x minus 2. That means the remainder is a fractional part with x squared plus x minus 2. Make sure you put the plus sign in there, because if you don't, if I didn't have the plus sign, it would look a lot like negative 4 and 6 over x squared plus x minus 2. It looks like a mixed number, and it's not meant to be a mixed number. That plus sign does need to be in there. Let's do another one to show you kind of the issue, one issue you might run across. So when I write this out, and there it is. Identify my key term, and that's the x squared. So x squared goes to the x to the 4th, x squared times, because x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. Also take x squared times 2, and that would be positive 2x squared. Change the signs to subtract the algebra way. So the x to the 4ths cancel. That's going to be a 1x squared. Remember, there's 1 in front of that x squared. Minus 2x squared is negative x squared. Bring down the negative 3x. X squared goes into x squared, negative x squared, excuse me. How many times? X squared times what is negative x squared? Well, x squared times negative 1 is negative x squared. And negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. And I see a problem when we get to the subtraction step. And do you see the problem when we get to the subtraction step? The problem is that we're supposed to subtract negative 3x plus 2, and we can't do that. That's not possible because they are not like terms. So what happened? Why is that happening all of a sudden? It hasn't happened before, but why is it happening now? And the reason it's happening now, it has to do with how the problem is written. We've always supposed to write things in descending order of exponents, but notice that this one goes x to the 4th, and then it goes to x squared. And notice it doesn't have an x to the 3rd term. On the outside of the box, it goes x squared and goes straight to the constant 2, but notice it doesn't have a single x term. So that's the problem. That's why on this one, like terms aren't lining up, is because some of the terms are being skipped because there's actually no x cubes and there's no single x's on the outside of the box. So in order to keep terms lined up, we have to place those in when we write out our problem. So I'm going to rewrite the problem over here. So inside the box will be x to the 4th, but since there's no x cubes, I'm going to have to write in a placeholder. I'm going to write in 0x to the 3rd power. And then the rest of it is going to be plus x squared minus 3x plus 5. And then I'm going to divide that by x squared plus 2. But again, since there's not a single x on that one, I'm going to write in a placeholder for 0x and then the plus 2. So it's got to go in descending order of exponents, and for long division, you shouldn't skip any of the exponents. And if there is an exponent skipped in the original problem, place a 0 there. So now we go back to our problem, and we do our key term is still x squared. So x squared goes into x to the 4th, x squared times, because x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. X squared times 0x, we will call that 0x to the 3rd. And x squared times 2, it'll be 2x squared. And then what do? Well, we change the signs and so we can subtract the algebra way. So x to the 4th minus x to the 4th cancels. There's no more x to the 4ths. X to the 3rd minus 0x to the 3rd is just 0x to the 3rd, which really means they cancel too. So since we've canceled 2 terms, we will bring down 2 terms. After I take x squared minus 2x squared, and that is negative x squared. So again, I canceled 2 terms. I will bring down 2 terms. and we'll do it again. So x squared goes into negative x squared negative 1 times. That's negative x squared. Negative 1 times 0x would just be negative 0x. And negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Change the signs so we can subtract the algebra way. X squared plus x squared cancels. Negative 3x plus 0x is negative 3x. 5 plus 2 is 7. This is going to be the remainder. This is the remainder because x squared, the key term, cannot go into x. Without using a negative exponent, which we're not going to get into with long division, you can't get a number or a term times x squared to get a single x. So that whole thing is the remainder. So we will put that remainder, we'll say plus, again, the remainder, negative 3x plus 7, all over the divisor, which is x squared, plus 0x plus 2. Let's go back to the way it was originally written in the problem without the 0x and just write it as x squared plus 2. So your answer is x squared minus 1 plus negative 3x plus 7 over x squared plus 2.